Damn, Freddo Films. Back at it again with the opinionated videos.
Shut up. Sheriff Woody Pride is a toy cowboy, prominently featuring in the animated series Toy Story, created by Pixar. He is a pull-string doll who... Wait, hang on. Wrong script. Got the wrong script here. Woody is a lumberjack, and he's okay. In Don't Starve Together, he is intended to fill the role of harvester, his main job being collecting materials, primarily wood. He carries a sentient axe named Lucy, who talks to him and also warns him about his curse. After chopping too many trees, and on the full moon, Woody transforms into the dreadful werebeaver. The werebeaver can chop trees, rocks, and other things, and has free night vision, but has no access to its inventory, and drops all equipped items upon transforming. The werebeaver is also constantly going insane, but is immune to hunger effects, instead filling up a log meter by eating wood-based foods. If the same log meter empties due to its constant draining, you will take damage over time, similarly to starvation. If the log meter is filled, you will transform back into good old Woody. The werebeaver can also gnaw enemies to deal 25 damage, and also has small damage resistance and high insulation against extreme heat and extreme cold. As Woody, you also need to eat wood-based foods to prevent the log meter draining to 25%, which will make you transform. The log meter drains all the time, and especially when chopping trees. So this seems all well and good, right? Well, it is. By himself, Woody as a character is fine. He doesn't really stand out, but he does bring some new concepts to the table. He isn't overpowered or underpowered per se, but he still has some issues here and there. However, the biggest problem with Woody, or more specifically Don't Starve Together Woody, is that the character Maxwell takes over his role of material harvester due to being far more powerful and efficient in chopping trees and rocks.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day.
He's a lumberjack and he's okay. He sleeps all night and he works all day.
Woody does harvest trees faster than Maxwell and maybe even a couple of his shadow puppets by themselves. But since Woody has to consume half of the logs that he chops in order to prevent him from transforming, Maxwell produces far more logs than Woody does from, say, a day of chopping. In addition, Maxwell can summon a shadow digger to dig up stumps that are a byproduct of chopping trees, which gives Maxwell an even higher net gain of logs than Woody. All of these things mean that Woody is almost pointless as a unique character, because his main purpose is fulfilled by another character.
I cut down trees, I eat my lunch, I go to the laboratory. On Wednesday I go shopping and have buttered scones for tea.
This isn't the only problem with Woody's design. Woody's transformation, the werebeaver, used to be both a mix of a blessing and a curse. You would be powerful against enemies but weak, and dying would make you come back as Woody with a set amount of stats. This could be abused, as you could die as the werebeaver and always come back with a set amount of hunger, health, and sanity, essentially giving you a second life that could be used in trade-off for weakness. In Don't Starve Together, this is different. Woody's beaver transformation is very difficult to use as a positive thing. The main reason for this is that dying as the beaver makes you die. You will appear as a kind of dumb-looking werebeaver ghost, and you will be required to be revived like a normal ghost. You will then come back as the werebeaver, though, which means to come back as Woody, you need to fill up your log meter while having low stats, which can prove to be a challenge if you're being constantly chased by nightmare creatures. This is the other main problem with the werebeaver. Insanity might not seem that bad, but it is considerably worse as the beaver, because you will be at the lowest possible sanity, mere minutes after being transformed. In addition, the werebeaver can't deal enough damage to fight off a large number of insanity creatures, which only makes it harder on you.
I cut down trees, I skip and jump, I like to press wildflowers. I put on women's clothing and hang around in bars.
Woody also has a few other random perks that don't really fit into any other category. Creatures he befriends will follow him longer per food gifted. He gains 5 sanity when planting a pine cone, and his beard gives him some bonus insulation. These perks are fine by themselves. I just think that they make no sense, really, and besides the pine cone thing, don't really fit in with Woody as a character. The beard, I guess, sort of makes sense, but there's no point to it in my opinion. And as for the pine cones, the 5 sanity gained does make it easy to control insanity, but it's kind of annoying if you're intentionally trying to stay insane. So, What time is it? Opinion time. In what ways could Woody be reworked to be a more powerful, balanced, and enjoyable character to play as? Same as last time, this next bit's gonna be heavily opinionated, so don't opinionatedly discriminate in the comments. First of all, get rid of Woody's perks that aren't needed. Longer befriend times and beard insulation don't align with his character type, i.e. Lumberjack, and don't really add much playstyle wise anyway. Buff Woody's werebeaver form. In Don't Starve, it was an effective extra life which was really fun to play with, and powerful as well. Its combat abilities could do with a slight change, but if it does receive an extra life, this kind of isn't needed. Make it so that Woody can fare against Maxwell somehow. This is a pretty tricky one because entirely changing Woody or Maxwell to buff the other is pretty ridiculous. Maybe Woody will be able to craft more Lucy's, or some other form of Lucy, to help emphasize teamwork. Even with a perk like this in place, Woody and Maxwell will still serve the same purpose as a character. If you have any ideas for a large change to Woody involving Maxwell, please
Share it in the comments section below.
This last thing is just a little nitpick. It's to make Woody's transforming threshold on the log meter more noticeable. At 25%, it's kind of misleading because you assume that you transform at 0, not at some random number. Otherwise, I do kind of like the whole log meter function. Again, this video was opinion based, so don't be a silly boy in the comments. I'll be back next week with a buff Winona video, probably. Anyway, bye.
And now for something completely different.